Okay, so we're now live. You may begin.
Oh, awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much, Carlos, for having me here today. I'm going to talk about a subject that I'm really excited about, which is chatbots. And a lot of times I'll talk to people and they'll ask me, well, okay, chatbots are great and all, but how do marketers really use them? Are chatbots really just for the IT team or customer service? So I want to show you how we can have a marketer's guide to testing chatbots across every stage of the funnel and across different marketing channels. But the first thing I want to do is start by removing the fear in people's mind. I find that when I start talking about chatbots, people think of this in their heads that, oh, it's killer robots, all of that. I think Hollywood movies have done a really good job of terrifying everyone into thinking that um, robots are all bad. But that's really not true at all. The truth is that the robots are here and they're actually really friendly and lovable, and anyone can interact with them, from children to grown ups to anyone. And best of all, we can even talk to them. Talking is what we do so naturally as humans, right? Right from being hey baby when we are crying or trying to say our first words. It's conversation. And we're going to like talking to the robots so much that according to Gartner, by 2020, the average person will have more conversations with their bot than with their spouse. Now, this is my favorite stat at the moment, not just because it gives my husband a lot of hope, um, but that it's so powerful to think about that. And now a lot of people say, oh, that could never be, and I can't imagine doing that. And then to think about it, how much time, even if we're out to dinner, do we spend looking at our phones already? And we also think we don't want to spend more time talking to bots because we think of the old generation of bots, which is like the IVR, right? You call the phone company and it says, oh, press 1 for English, press 2 for Spanish, press 3 to talk to a representative. It is annoying. I think most people think chatbots are kind of like that, but that's not the case. The new generation of chatbots are really empathetic and intelligent. And what they do is they take the pain out of life admin. So, for example, if I wanted to order pizza, I could say, hey, Cortana, ask Domino's to place my easy order. And then about 30 minutes later, I have pizza. It's super easy. It's more convenient than calling them or going to the website. Or if something broke in my house and I needed a plumber, rather than having to open up my phone or my computer to try to look for the phone number of a plumber or someone who can help me. And when I'm already stressed out, all I have to do here is say, hey, Cortana, hey, Alexa, hey, Google Assistant, tell the company that I need a plumber to repair a broken water heater. It makes it super easy. And best of all, it gives marketers this wonderful new opportunity. For the first time in history, us marketers can have one-to-one conversations at scale. What bots do is that they're always on, so the brand can engage with the customer anytime of the day and night, and it feels like a one-to-one conversation, so it can feel more personalized. So it's like, hi Chris, can I help you, as opposed to you're calling us, what can we do, blah blah blah. It has this whole opportunity, but again, because it's a bot, it's super scalable, and you can do this for millions of your customers in a far more affordable way. Of course, the next question I get is that, okay, but who's really using bots? So let's look at some numbers. Now, Forbes did a study recently and they found that 60% of millennials have used chatbots. It makes sense. They are the ones that are always on Facebook Messenger or using Slack or Skype. they're used to typing and texting and SMSing their friends all the time. So this is still a very similar system. They don't have to learn anything new. It's interacting with businesses via the same platforms that they are using to interact with their friends. 70% of these millennials have reported positive experiences. It's also instant gratification. If I had a question, it's much easier for me to message the bot and get an answer right back as opposed to sending an email and then having to wait God knows how long before I get a response. Apart from being quick and easy, it does save customers a lot of time. In fact, it saves over 4 minutes per chatbot inquiry, according to research from Juniper Research, which studied the financial and banking industries. Now, that's huge. If I could get my goal completed without having to waste all that time and save myself 4 minutes every transaction, that's huge. I would love to do that. Be so much more happier to get my life back. And from the business standpoint, too, it saves a lot of money. If you can imagine, if you could save over 4 minutes of your human time in talking to the customers, of course, there's savings. It's over $8 billion for the banking and healthcare sectors, according to Juniper Research. That's a lot of money. And that's expected by 2022. So it's not surprising if you think about it that customers are happy, it saves businesses money, and it helps them engage and personalize and create better customer experiences. So it's win-win-win situation. So of course, 80% of brands will use chatbots for customer interactions by 2020. That's only 18 months from now. We're really close to this date. 2020 is not some far off date. It's almost upon us. So if everyone's going to be using chatbots, marketers, what should we do? Well, that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. I'm going to walk you through your 3-step plan to make conversations convert. Let's start with step 1. Now, if you think step 1 is creating the chatbot, well, that's just wrong. Because you can create the most elaborate, the most phenomenal chatbot, but if it doesn't solve real issues that your customers are facing, you may as well not have the chatbot. So your step 1 is don't start with the chatbot. You rather want to start by looking at your customers. You want to try to identify the different pain points they may be experiencing as they interact with your brand, as they're going through their purchase funnel or completing whatever goals that they need to interact with your company. You want to ask yourself a couple of different questions. The first one is, how are customers looking to get information from our website or from our company? The second one is, how do they make a purchase? Like, what are the different steps that they take? What are the different, do they tend to use different devices? Do they need to call first? What's their process? The third one is, do pain points differ across different channels or different devices? That would be interesting to find out. And the fourth one, and the most important question that I say you should ask is, how can I reduce the number of steps in every interaction? The reason that this is so important, it's because it helps to reduce friction. The more time you give people to sort of think or rethink their decision, the more time they have to be like, oh, okay, never mind, and stop doing what they're doing. It's not something, most of us don't sell something that's a necessity to get. So for example, car insurance. If I want to drive in America, I need to have car insurance. I have to buy it. But if I'm trying to buy a new pair of clothes, a new pair of shoes, that's not necessary. So I may stop at any time. You want to try to make it as easy as possible so they will enjoy interacting with you and potentially even spend more. Once you understand the different pain points that a chatbot could solve, only then do you want to go ahead and look at building a bot and or a skill. Now, what's the difference? A chatbot is uh, a representative of the brand, and you can interact with it through a platform like Skype or Facebook Messenger or Slack. And thus, we can interact directly with the brand to get things that you need. A skill is when a brand teaches a digital assistant how people should interact with them. So this is how you would interact, usually by voice, via Cortana or Alexa or Google Assistant, to try to interact with the brand. So the example that we looked at earlier about, hey Cortana, ask Domino's for my easy order, that was Domino's teaching Cortana via its skill on how to let people order from Domino's via Cortana. So the bot is direct, usually typing. Skill is via the assistant, and it's usually voice. If you are looking for different places that you could look at to create some bots, I wanted to put up some helpful links right here for you. So we have links to bot framework, business bots. The cool thing is you can even add additional layers of intelligence to your chatbot. So for example, you could have it recognize images, so you could add visual recognition or visual intelligence to it. You could add translation services, so if customers started talking in a different language, the chatbot knew to respond back in a different language. So there's really, the sky's the limit, or your imagination is the limit to what different intelligence you can layer on into your chatbot. Okay, now that you have your foundation, now is the time that we really put our bots to work to help make us more money. And for this, you want to try to add conversation across the entire customer journey. A lot of people either mistakenly think that chatbots are great only for, early on questions, or maybe only at the end to help people convert. But I want to walk you through how you can actually have conversation help every step of the journey. To make it easier, I have divided the customer decision journey into 3 key stages. The first one is introducer, where the bot is the one that introduces or helps people discover the products and services that you offer. The influencer stage, which is when people want to sort of decide what or how much they want to buy. And then the closer stage is when you're really closing the deal, and this is when you get the conversion, and it's usually the last step in the journey. So let's start by looking at how a chatbot can help as an introducer to help raise awareness and grow the brand for your business. And for this one, I wanted to give you the example of Adidas. So Adidas in London has a female-focused fitness community called Studio LDN. It's part of their sort of brand engagement efforts. And what they wanted to do to help this community out was they wanted to offer free fitness lessons across the city of London. And in order to help people sign up for the free classes, they created a chatbot. Now, this chatbot was the only way that people could sign up for the lessons, and it was very interactive. So if I went to sign up for the lesson, I would get a confirmation back. I would also get some sort of motivational messages or maybe links to other videos. So it kept the engagement and relationship going. But remember, there was no other way that people could sign up for the fitness lessons. But how did it do for them? Within the first couple of weeks itself, they had over 2,000 people sign up. And they said that retention after week 1 was over 60%. So that is, people went back to use the bot. This 60% retention rate was, according to Adidas, significantly higher than any of their other channels, including a regular app. That's pretty amazing. So they found something that could lead to sort of signups as well as please the customers. And it was a sticky channel. People wanted to come back. Win, win, win. But we know from the days of apps that discoverability is a huge issue. How did people find out that Adidas had this chatbot? Don't know, right? Well, what they did was something really, really clever. They used their other marketing channels to promote the bot. So if you went to the store, there would be a sign that said, oh, engage with our chatbot to sign up for these free lessons. If you went to their website, they would encourage you to reach out to their chatbots and so on and so forth. So they used their other channels to support and promote the chatbot so that they could help people engage with it. Because remember, the retention rates were the highest on the chatbot. It made so much sense. I love what they did. And we can all do this as well. We can do the same exact thing. Once you build your chatbot, you can use your other channels to promote it. And in a way, it will be of massive benefit to you. Let's take email marketing, for instance. If you had to take a second and think about what the average email open rates are, what would you guess? If your guess was anywhere between 15 to 25%, you'd be correct, because that's, according to MailChimp, what the average open rates are. That's really poor. If you compare it to what Facebook's research shows, where the average open rate for a chatbot message is over 90%, that's a vast difference. So if you want to try to get something that people are more likely to open and interact with, then you can always use your email as a way to say that, hey, message our chatbot for 10% off, or hit us up to come look at chat with our stylist now, or whatever compelling message you can have. You want to use your email to guide people towards the chatbot so that you can get the best of both worlds. The other thing, if you're using social media now, a lot of you are probably running ads on Facebook, for example. And what most people do is they send their ads to a landing page. Of course, right? That's the traditional way that we've done it for years and years. But to that, I say, you don't always have to send your ads to the landing page. For example, why not send your Facebook ad to Facebook Messenger bot? And you could simply be like, oh, you have any questions? Your ad can be like, oh, here's our latest collection. Message us for 10% off, or message us to chat with a stylist, or learn more about something else. And you're guiding people to the chatbot instead, where you can carry on the dialogue and almost have a much more interactive process before they've even come to your website. And that could be a huge win for brands. And the advantage also is, if you've messaged them once and they've interacted with your bot, they sort of can opt in to get proactive messages. So you can push messages to them at later times. Now, that doesn't mean you message them all the time, because that can get really annoying really quickly. But as and when the time comes, you can do that. Another really good area you want to consider thinking about is with video. Now, video sounds kind of surprising, right? What can video do with chatbots? Well, what we found is that one of the biggest sort of obstacles or hesitancies people have is they don't know how to use this new technology. They're like, oh, I'm not sure how I would use the chatbot, or I'm not sure how I would interact with this brand via Alexa, for example. So if you could use your pre-roll video time, even like 10, 15 seconds, to just show it in action, it gives people a great idea of how they should use it, and it helps overcome that barrier, and they may want to use it. And now you guys are thinking that, hey, Carlos has called this SEO conference, and where's the SEO? Well, don't worry, I'm coming to that right now. Search is another great discovery channel for bots. So if I went on Bing or Google and I did a search for, hey, what are the different travel bots or finance bots or fashion bots, it'll give me a list. Bing does this one step further, though. Bing makes it super convenient. If you see on the screen, you'll see that there's different tabs. So I could look at either just all the travel bots that were available, or I could identify just the ones that were on either Messenger or Slack or Telegram, and I could pick the one that best suited my preferred chat platform. And if you notice the blue line under the name of the chatbot that says Ad Bot. You can directly add it into your platform just by clicking that line itself. So it makes it super convenient right there. And this is a good way for discoverability, but we're also trying to get people more familiar with using chatbots. You've all seen this. This is something that Bing launched last year, so I'm sure you've seen it. Where if I was looking for, say, Monsoon Seattle and was a local listing for this restaurant, I would be able to ask the chatbot for questions if I needed any help. And then right there in the search box, I would get the Skype window pop up and I could ask it questions. So for example, if I wanted to know that, hey, do you take American Express? Or can I bring my dog? Are you pet friendly? I could get the answer right there in just a few seconds. And I know this launched last year, but I still think it's so important and valuable to think about, because what's the alternative to finding these answers? If the only other way would be either going to the website and having to look around by myself, or having to actually call and talk to a human there, which maybe they put me on hold, maybe they're not open to answer. Here, I can get my question answered in just a couple of seconds, right there in the SERPs when I'm searching. We've also tested this for the PPC side. For those of you who are paid advertisers, this has been in pilot since last year for us, and it's been looking really successful so far, the results. It's the chatbot extension. So you'll see this one line of text under the PPC ad, and it's the same principle. If I had questions, I can interact with the brand. Now, how does this get billed? Like, what do you pay? So just like any other ad extension, if you click the chatbot extension, that's where you get charged for the click. But any conversations that you have here in the chatbot, then there's no more charges after that. So again, it's super easy, super fair. And if we think about what's the main lesson for the discoverability, for this discover phase, for the introduction stage, is you want to give your audience plenty of ways and reasons to chat. Get them to see your chatbot, interact with it, and then they will find more ways to use it. All right. Now we look at the influencer stage. The influencer stage really comes with guiding people on how to purchase or how much to purchase, and so you can have them look around. The good example that I like here is from Alibaba in China. So as you know, Alibaba is this massive e-commerce platform, and they sell products from tons and tons of different brands. And they are so popular that on Singles Day, which is one of the biggest shopping holidays in the year in China, it's a pop culture holiday where people who are single celebrate by, treating themselves and buying themselves lots of presents. And it's traditionally celebrated on the 11th of November. So 1-1, 1-1, it all makes sense why it's Singles Day. So now if you've ever shopped during Amazon Prime Day, you know that that's a ton of orders. But Singles Day is Amazon Prime Day times 10. It is so much more busy. In fact, Alibaba they had over 175,000 orders every second on Singles Day. Can you imagine that sheer volume of orders? Well, thank God that they had bots to come in and help. So they did two things. First, they had a lot of the calls and a lot of the questions that they get asked answered by an AI bot. So it helped. So 90% of those calls that came in were answered by an AI bot to try to help give the customers a better experience and handle the large volume. The other thing they did was they created this concierge chatbot where it would be there just to help them, just as if you were in a shop and the shop assistant was there. So if you were not sure what size you should buy, you would just tell it your height and your weight, and it would recommend the right size that you should buy. Or if you uploaded a picture of the pants that you were going to buy, it would tell you the shoes that would match best. So it would give you really good, handy tips. So in that way, what it helped to do was it helped to change the whole conversation from like a buy now, hit people on the head with your sales message. It changes the whole conversation to more of a, hey, what do you need right now? How can we connect with you? How can we best help you? And that is what really helps to win loyalty and trust from your customers. I mean, how much more trust would you have for a brand that was only trying to help you? If, for example, I was like, oh, I'm buying this dress, it would say, like, hey, do you want this purse to match? Right? It seems helpful and it's trying to get me to be more stylish. And you would have trust there. And a good way, like a really, really good channel that chatbots can help is with remarketing. Now, a human can look at our order history, but it may take them time to go ahead and search. But chatbots, I mean, they're machines. They're great at handling data. If I knew that a chatbot that I interacted with from my favorite shoe store, I had with my permission, it had accessed. I could log into that, so it had access to my order history and my type of order. So it tended to know what my preferences are, what I like, what I don't like. Then it could tailor its sort of remarketing or cross selling and upselling in a way that makes much more sense and ties into the whole what do you need right now. So let me show you how that could work. So my favorite shoe store knows that I like to buy boots a lot. So it could hit me up with the message saying, hi, Purna, we have a new collection of boots. Would you like a sneak peek? I mean, what am I going to say to that? There's no other option but like, yes, please. This new collection of shoes. Do you want to take a sneak peek? Of course. So then they'll be like, okay, perfect. I'll email pics to you. And hey, by the way, save 15% in the next 24 hours on your order if you use the code Bing. And of course, my response is going to be thank you, and I will buy all the shoes. But look at how the reason why this is so powerful. They used my likes and my preferences. They knew I like boots. And then they gave me a very soft and gentle call to action. They're like, do you just want to take a sneak peek at them? And then because they also know, they knew from my order history that I tend to order more when there's a discount code or when things are on sale, like most of us. It could even slipped in this offer to try to add some urgency, but it also still felt so helpful that, hey, you can save 15% as well. So it felt like I was getting some exclusive look and I was getting some exclusive code. It really felt to me that I've been treated so nicely. But of course, I was being marketed to. But this is a much friendlier conversation. So this is remarketing is a great channel for chatbots. And it also makes upselling and cross-selling a lot more powerful. Now, something that happens with Cortana is we have trained her to do a few more things. One is the most important one is skills chaining. So Cortana is getting smarter and smarter, and she'll know that, hey, if you want to achieve your goal, it may not always be just one company or one brand that can help you. So, for example, if I want to go to dinner, if I say, hey, Cortana, make reservations for me at this restaurant as close to 8 p.m., she'll know that for me to actually go and have dinner, it's making the reservations at the restaurant, but I also have to get to the restaurant, right? So there's a couple of different parts involved in this. So what she can say is that, okay, I will make a reservation for 8:30. Would you like me to reserve an Uber for you? Now that's so cool. It's really helpful for me. It's such a no-brainer to be like, yes, because Cortana knows that I like to use Uber a lot, so she'd recommend that one to me. But for Uber, it's a fantastic place to show up because it's showing up right at a time where people are more likely to want to click. So it's a whole new era. This is something that my friend Shiva from iCrossing calls this. He says we're going from a business to consumer world to a consumer to business world, which is where we are now. So business to consumer was businesses would create things and consumers would buy them. But now we're in this era of consumers dictating what they want and businesses going to find them. But all of this is going to be history because we're moving into this age of machine to consumer, where the machine is going to curate and determine what we consumers are going to see. The machines want to make our life easier, so they're going to show us what they think we will most like. And all of the irrelevant things that we don't want is going to be cut out. So for businesses to compete in an M2C world, you really want to think about how can you be most helpful and how can you add the most value. That's really key to think about. Make your conversation go from a buy now to what do you need? Get super personal. All right, finally, the closer stage. This is the big money stage. Now, I'll tell you the story. I was looking to buy flowers the other day, and I'm not sure if any of you have ever bought flowers online. But I mean, most of the websites are really, really similar. So no matter what company I'm working with, whether it's like Teleflora, Interflora, 1-800-Flowers, flowers.com, they all have a similar process. You'll go to the website and there will be a lot of different options. Usually there's different options for occasions. Let me say I want to send a friend flowers for their birthday. Even if I go to birthday, there will be dozens and dozens and dozens of selections of flowers and cakes and chocolates and everything that I could buy. It's really quite an overwhelming choice. I'll click on one and then it'll give me multiple options for pricing for that one. I'll choose a price. Then the order form is really long. This is one of my pet peeves, but every time I go to the website, most website forms are like, okay, Purna, enter your city, state, country, zip. Like, if I just give you my zip code or my postcode, you would be able to fill everything else out. Like, don't make me do more work than I have to. So they usually are filled with super long forms. Then there will be some pop up to upsell me something, and then there'll be another super long form. And it's so cumbersome. It's tedious, but it's what we've been used to. So we don't really question it. But quite frankly, it's appalling. Like, we can do better. And that's what 1-800-Flowers set out to do. So a couple of years ago now, they built a chatbot on Facebook Messenger. And their chatbot was really, really amazing. So this chatbot, I'd open it right on Facebook Messenger, the same place I used to talk to my friends. And I would ask, then it would tell me that, hey, what are you looking for? And I'd say birthday flowers. And then it would give me the top 5 or 6 flower options. Like, oh, do you want one of these in an easy to scroll carousel? And I could just pick the one I wanted. And they didn't give me like a million choices. They gave me 5 or 6 that were the top sellers. If I wanted more, I could see more. But usually the top sellers would be good enough for me. I'd pick one. Then because I'm on my phone, it would sort of save and have access. I'm like, yeah, I want to send them to my mom. So it would be able to look at my phone address and be like, oh, is this the correct address to send it to your mom? So I don't need to go and sit and type in the address and fill out long forms. I'd be like, yes, please, that's great. And it would ask me, when do you want to deliver it? And it would give me a few options right there on the screen for different dates. And I could pick one. So much easier because it's proactively conversational back and forth with me as if I was talking to an actual florist. And then when it came time to pay, rather than doing a super long form, I would just use my inbuilt payment option on my phone. So I have an iPhone and would be like, all right, just pay with Apple Pay. And I could just scan my fingerprint, don't need to fill out anything at all. And what would take me 10 to 15 minutes before has taken me less than 60 seconds via the chatbot. So much easier. And it actually got them a lot of success. The CEO of 1-800-Flowers was interviewed on DigiDay, and he said that just even a couple of months after launching the bot, that they found that 70% of orders were coming from this brand new younger demographic that would not shop on 1-800-Flowers before. You guys, I don't know if I've ever seen any other way that was more cost effective to help you expand and reach a whole brand new audience. It really works. And it all came from asking that question on how do we reduce the number of steps in every interaction. I want to show you another example for something we did with one of our actual customers at Microsoft. We asked, this is a key question that we kept in mind when we looked at this company called Home Advisor, which what they do is they'll send you a home repair person for anything that you might need. So let's say in my example, I am dealing with a broken fence in my house. So I would go to the chatbot and it tells me that, hey, I'm Home Advisor, we'll connect you with the home improvement professional. They ask what they can help me with, and I just need to send a photo of my broken fence. I don't need to describe it. It will recognize it and say, that looks like a broken fence. Is that correct? Like, yes. What's the location? I'm on my phone. I can drop a pin, and it then will ask me, do you want to speak to a professional? Sure. And now in a little carousel style, it'll give me an option of different people in my area who I could chat with. I could look at their profile. I could get quotes from them. I could look at their reviews, and I could decide who I wanted. How much easier is this, you guys? Remember, I didn't have to describe my broken fence. I just put in this photo. If I had to sit and describe it, it would be much more difficult to be like wooden fence. How would you describe just how broken it was? So much easier with this. So the key lesson for the closing stage is when you want to close the sale, you want to leverage your bots and remove any friction and make it super relevant. The more relevant and the less friction, the higher likelihood that you're going to have the sale and also get repeat sales and a much higher customer lifetime value. All right. Before we end, step 3, super important. You've launched your bot, you figured it all out. Now we have to track it, right? How do we measure it? And I want to share my favorite quote from Andy Morrow, who says that, hey, rather than tracking users with pixels and cookies, why don't we engage with them, learn about them, and provide value that actually meets their needs? Makes so much sense, right? I mean, ultimately, it's common sense. Let's learn from this conversation and let's look at what are the different bot related analytics that I like to call botalytics that we need to track. The first one, of course, open and delivery rates. Important to track to make sure that your bot is reaching people and is still being engaged. Retention, are people coming back to engage with your bot? A really good sign of success if people want to come back and interact with your bot. You can also get really good insights into what are the top messages and what's making people engage the most, and also where your bot is failing. Because, of course, it's technology, it will fail once in a while. But the good news is, I mean, machines are really smart. If you teach them, then they only need to make the mistake once. Then they've learned it, they've understood it, they're good to go on forwards. So any fail areas you can address quickly and then make sure that the bot learns and is up to speed. You can track conversion rates as well as sentiment analysis. Now, this one's really important because if, say, something broke on your website or something was wrong, if you waited to get all of those emails coming in complaining, the problem would have gone on a lot longer. But if suddenly you could track the sentiment of all of the different chats that were coming in or what people were talking to your bot about, you'd get a much faster and a much better understanding overall of how people are feeling when they talk to you. What's the general sentiment? Now, I wanted to share with you a couple of reports to see what they look like that come from, these are just screenshots from Microsoft Bot Framework of our dummy bot. So one of the cool things that I think people don't realize is that when you create a chatbot, you can plug it into lots of different sources, such as Skype, Facebook Messenger, Kik, Slack, etc. But you can also track the performance individually as well. You don't look at your bot as a whole, because the bot might perform differently on Skype than it does on Facebook Messenger. So you can go in and look at performance by each one of them. And of course, you can adjust time frame. You can always look at a rolling retention report that is on a rolling 10-day basis. You can go back and look at what people are engaging with and what they're doing. You can also break up number of users or the top messages across all of these different channels. And at the end, you also don't forget to ask yourself that what can you learn from chat that can help your other channel? For example, I might find out that a lot of people are asking me about a product comparison between two things I sell. And a lot of people come up and ask me that in chatbots. So maybe I want to create a landing page on my website for that information so that when people are searching, they can come across that as well. It might be good information that I can use to help my other channel. So finally, let's recap. You want to start by identifying the pain points and then building the chatbot. Once you have the chatbot, look at ways that you can optimize the entire customer journey. And finally, you want to be able to measure the right KPIs. If you want to read more about this, I've written a blog about this on Moz, and I have the URL right here on the screen, so you can have a little read more. And the main thing to remember is that, yes, this technology is brand new. Well, at least for us in the West, it's been really popular in countries like China for many more years. But this is the way that customer service is going. Remember, we are going to have so much of these bots. And very often, these chatbots are going to be really the first interaction point that people have with your brand. So the brand perception will come as a result of these chatbots. In fact, Accenture found that more than half of your customers in the next 5 years will select your services based on your AI instead of your traditional brand. So you want to start by going forward and putting your best foot forward. Start working on this today so you can have a much brighter future tomorrow. Thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, say hi on Twitter.
Thank you, Purna. Thank you for sharing today with us. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye.